The deep space vessel Resolute drifted silently through the void, her silver hull reflecting the faint light of a dying star. She was one of humanity's proudest creations, built to travel far beyond charted space. For months, her crew had sailed into the unknown, searching for signs of life, resources, or threats that might one day reach Earth. Among the 100 souls aboard was Lieutenant Marcus Hale, a young officer with sharp eyes and a steady heart. He had joined the fleet not only out of duty, but out of a longing for discovery. The stars had always called to him, even when he was a boy staring out of his bedroom window. To him, space was not only a battlefield or a treasure chest. It was a mystery waiting to be solved. That morning, Marcus had been assigned to lead a small reconnaissance team onto the surface of a barren moon orbiting the system's third planet. From above, the moon looked gray and lifeless, its surface covered with craters and ridges. Yet the Resolute scanners had detected faint signals, unfamiliar ones, that pulsed like whispers from beneath the rock. Marcus stepped down from the shuttle, his boots sinking into fine dust. The thin atmosphere forced him to keep his helmet sealed. Behind him, 3 soldiers followed, their suits shining under the weak light. "Readings are faint," one of them said, "but definitely artificial. Could be a beacon, maybe even ruins." Marcus nodded. "Stay sharp. We don't know who or what sent those signals." The group moved cautiously, their lights cutting across the jagged rocks. The silence of the moon pressed against them, broken only by the sound of their breathing and the faint crunch of dust underfoot. The signals grew stronger as they descended into a canyon. Marcus felt uneasy. Something about the place seemed watched. Suddenly, a shadow moved at the edge of his vision. He turned quickly, raising his rifle. "Hold!" he ordered, his voice calm but firm. His team froze. From the mist, at the far end of the canyon, a figure appeared. At first it looked like a knight of old, clad in silver armor that glimmered strangely in the dim light. The figure was tall, slender, and moved with a grace that no human soldier ever could. The armored stranger stopped, standing still as stone. A low hum came from the suit as if powered by some unknown energy. Marcus's hand tightened on his weapon, but he did not fire. "Identify yourself," he called. There was no reply. Instead, the figure raised a hand, slow and deliberate, not in threat but in greeting, or perhaps warning. The silence stretched until, with a hiss of air, the figure reached up and touched the sides of the helmet. With a soft click, it began to unlock. The visor lifted, and the silver helmet came, free. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. Beneath the helmet was a face unlike any he had ever seen. Her skin held a faint shimmer, as if starlight had settled upon it. Her eyes were bright, glowing faintly like polished crystals, and her features were elegant, neither human nor entirely alien, but something that seemed to blend both. A lock of dark silken hair fell across her cheek as she lowered the helmet. For a long moment, Marcus could only stare. He had expected a monster, a machine, perhaps even an enemy scout. Instead, he found himself whispering the first word that came to his mind. "Gorgeous." The word slipped from his lips before he could stop it. His voice was carried through the comms, and his squad glanced at him in surprise. The alien woman tilted her head slightly as if curious about his reaction. Then, to his astonishment, she spoke. Her voice was soft yet firm, carrying an accent that bent the words strangely, but they were clear enough. "You are human?" she asked. Marcus steadied himself. "Yes. And you?" She lowered her helmet to her side. "I am Arinya. I am not your enemy." Her words brought both relief and confusion. If she was not an enemy, then who was she? And why was she alone on this desolate moon? Marcus kept his weapon lowered but ready. "Then why are you here? What do you want?" Arinya's eyes flickered toward the sky where the stars burned cold and distant. "I am hunted," she said, quietly. "By my own people." One of Marcus's soldiers shifted uneasily. Sir, we should call this in. This could be a trap. Marcus agreed it could be, but something about Arinya's expression told him otherwise. It wasn't the look of a hunter lying in wait. It was the look of someone weary, someone who had run for too long. Tell me, Marcus said carefully. Who are your people? She hesitated as though unsure how much to reveal. Finally, she answered, I am of the Cathari Dominion. My father rules many worlds. But her voice faltered. I do not share their ways. Marcus felt the weight of her words. He had heard whispers of the Dominion, rumors traded in starports about a powerful alien empire expanding across the galaxy. Humanity had yet to face them directly, but many feared the day would come. Why are you running from them? He asked. Her eyes met his. In them he saw not just fear, but determination. Because they want war. They want conquest. I want peace. The canyon walls echoed with a faint metallic sound, sharp and near. Marcus raised his hand. Movement. From the mist, smaller armored figures appeared, their suits similar to Arinya's but darker, more menacing. Their weapons glowed with blue energy. Arinya's face hardened. They have found me. The Cathari soldiers advanced, their formation tight and disciplined. Marcus had seconds to choose. Hand Arinya over and avoid bloodshed, or stand with her and risk everything. He did not hesitate. Form up, Marcus ordered his squad. Defensive line. The soldiers obeyed, rifles raised. Arinya looked at him with surprise. You would fight for me? You do not know me. Marcus gave a small smile. I don't need to. I can see enough. The canyon erupted with fire. Blue bolts of plasma cut through the mist, slamming against the rocks. Human rifles answered with red streaks of light. The air filled with smoke and the sharp crack of weapons. Arinya moved like flowing water, faster than any human. She raised her gauntlet, summoning a shield of shimmering energy that deflected incoming shots. Side by side, she and Marcus fought, covering each other in a dance of survival. The enemy pressed hard, but Marcus's squad held the line. One by one, the attackers fell, until the canyon was silent once more. Breathing heavily, Marcus lowered his rifle. Dust settled around them, glowing faintly under the strange light of the moon. Arinya looked at him, her crystal-like eyes studying him with new respect. You could have left me. You could have given me to them. Why didn't you? Marcus shrugged slightly. Maybe because I believe you, or maybe because I think you're worth trusting. Her expression softened, and for the first time she gave a small smile. It was faint, uncertain, but real. Then perhaps, she said, we were meant to meet. As Marcus stood there, staring at the alien princess who had just revealed herself to him, he realized something. This was not only the beginning of survival, it was the beginning of something far greater, something that could change the fate of both their worlds. And though he didn't know what awaited them, he knew one thing for certain. The universe had just grown larger and far more dangerous. The battle in the canyon still echoed in Marcus Hale's mind long after the smoke had cleared. He and his small squad had fought alongside Arinya, the mysterious alien princess who claimed to be hunted by her own people. It was not a fight he had expected, and yet, standing shoulder to shoulder with her, he had felt a strange sense of certainty. Now, as they made their way back toward the shuttle, Marcus couldn't shake the questions burning inside him. Who exactly was she? Why had she run? And what danger did she bring with her? Arinya walked with a steady grace, her silver armor catching faint glimmers of light. She held her helmet under one arm, the faint shimmer of her skin glowing against the gray dust of the moon. His soldiers marched behind, whispering uneasily over their private comms. Sir, one muttered, this is dangerous. We don't know if she's telling the truth. Bringing her aboard the Resolute could mean a court-martial. Marcus kept his eyes forward. I know the risks, but I also know what I saw back there. She could have let us die. She didn't. The soldier fell silent. When they reached the shuttle, Arinya paused, gazing at it as if seeing human technology for the first time. Her crystal-like eyes studied every line of the metal frame, every mark of wear. "This is human craft," she said softly. "Yes," Marcus replied. "It'll take us back to our ship. You'll be safe there." She hesitated, her expression unreadable. "Safe? You do not even know me. Why do you risk this?" Marcus looked at her directly. "Because I believe you want peace. And if I'm wrong, then it's my mistake, not yours." For the first time, she gave him a long look as if weighing his soul. Then she nodded and stepped inside, aboard the Resolute. The shuttle touched down in the hangar bay, where crew members rushed to unload equipment. The sight of the alien princess stepping out caused a wave of shock. Voices rose, questions flew, and officers called for security. Captain Arlen, a stern man with gray streaks in his hair, arrived quickly. His eyes narrowed as he took in the tall figure beside Marcus. "Lieutenant Hale," he said sharply. "Explain." Marcus stood at attention. "Sir, this is Arinya. She is the daughter of the Cathari Dominion's ruler. She claims she seeks peace, and she saved my squad from hostile forces. I request she be given protection." Murmurs ran through the hangar. Some crew members looked at Arinya with awe, others with suspicion. The name Cathari Dominion was enough to set every soldier on edge. Captain Arlen's gaze hardened. "Do you have any idea what you've done, Hale? Bringing her aboard without clearance could spark conflict." Arinya stepped forward, her voice calm but steady. "I mean no harm. I came because I had no choice. If I had remained, my hunters would have killed me. I ask only for sanctuary, for now." Her words carried a strange dignity, one that silenced the murmurs. The captain studied her for a long moment, then turned to Marcus. "She stays in a secured chamber. She will be watched at all times. One wrong move, Lieutenant, and this will fall on you." Marcus saluted. "Understood, sir." The confession later, in a quiet chamber deep within the ship, Marcus sat across from Arinya. The room was simple, lit by soft white panels, its walls bare. She sat gracefully, hands folded, as if born to command even in captivity. "Your captain, distrust me," she said calmly. Marcus gave a small smile. "He distrusts everyone until they prove themselves." She tilted her head. "And you? Do you distrust me?" Marcus hesitated. "I don't know you well enough, but I trust what I saw back there. You fought to protect us, not to harm us." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Arinya spoke, her voice lower now, almost like a confession. "My people, the Cathari, have ruled many worlds. For centuries we spread our dominion, believing strength was the only truth. My father is powerful, and he seeks to expand further. To him, peace is weakness." She paused, her eyes darkening. "But I have seen what his wars bring. Planets burned, cities emptied, children left without homes. I could not stay silent." Marcus leaned forward. "So you ran?" "Yes." Her gaze met his unflinching. "I stood before the War Council and spoke against conquest. They called me a traitor. They ordered my capture. If I return, I will be executed, or worse, used as a symbol for their cause." Marcus felt the weight of her words. She was not only a runaway princess, she was a voice of dissent in an empire that crushed opposition. "Then why come here?" he asked. "Why risk crossing paths with humans?" Her lips curved into a faint, almost sad smile. "Because I heard whispers that humans are different, that you fight not only for power but for freedom. I wanted to see if that was true." Marcus studied her, trying to read her heart. She was unlike anyone he had met, alien, yet strangely familiar in her hopes and fears. "You came to the right place," he said finally. "We're not perfect, but we fight for each other. That's something worth protecting." Her eyes softened, and for the first time, Marcus saw not the princess, not the fugitive, but simply a person seeking hope. Uneasy crew word of Arinya's presence spread quickly through the ship. Some crew members were fascinated, whispering about her beauty, her grace, and the mystery surrounding her. Others were fearful, calling her a spy, a danger waiting to strike. Marcus found himself caught in the middle. His own squad trusted him, but doubts grew among others. More than once he caught cold stares as he walked the corridors. One evening in the mess hall, a young officer confronted him. "Hale," the officer said sharply, "why are you protecting her? She's Cathari. Her people will destroy us if they can. What if she's feeding them information right now?" Marcus kept his voice steady. "If she wanted us dead, she wouldn't have saved us on that moon. I saw her fight against her own people. That's proof enough for me." The officer shook his head, muttering, "You're blinded. She'll bring doom to us all." Marcus let him walk away, but the words lingered. He knew trust was fragile and time was running short. The warning a few days later, alarms blared through the ship. The crew scrambled to stations as sensors detected an incoming fleet, Cathari vessels sleek and deadly, closing in fast. In her chamber, Arinya stood tall, her expression grave. "They have found me. They will not stop until I am returned." Marcus rushed in. "What do they want?" "Me," she said simply. "They will demand my surrender. If you refuse, they will attack." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He had feared this moment, but now it was real. Captain Arlen's voice came over the comms. "Lieutenant Hale, bring the princess to the command deck. Now." When they arrived, the view screen displayed the enemy fleet, dozens of warships glowing with blue light. A transmission cut through the static, showing a Cathari commander with cold, sharp features. "Humans," the commander said, his voice echoing with disdain. "You have something that belongs to us, the Princess Arinya. Return her at once, or be destroyed." The tension in the command deck was thick. Officers looked at Marcus, then at Arinya, waiting. Arinya stepped forward, her voice calm but unwavering. "Do not return me. If you do, more will die. I can help you, but only if you trust me." Captain Arlen's jaw tightened. He looked at Marcus. "Lieutenant, you brought this aboard. You'd better be right about her." Marcus met Arinya's eyes. In that moment, he knew there was no turning back. Closing of Part 2. The Resolute hung suspended in the darkness of space, caught between trust and destruction. The Cathari fleet waited like wolves in the night, ready to strike, and in the center of it all stood Arinya, the alien princess who carried a secret powerful enough to ignite a war or change the galaxy forever. Marcus knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but he also knew something else. He could not and would not abandon her. For better or worse, their fates were now bound together. The command deck of the Resolute was heavy with silence. Every officer stood at their post, eyes fixed on the massive Cathari fleet hovering on the view screen. Sleek warships gleamed in the darkness, their weapons powered and ready. They outnumbered the Resolute 20-1. At the center of the screen, the face of the Cathari commander remained cold and sharp. His crystal-like eyes burned with disdain as his voice echoed through the speakers. "You shelter a traitor. Return Princess Arinya to us immediately. Fail to comply and your fragile ship will be erased." Captain Arlen stood tall, arms folded behind his back. His jaw was tight, but his voice carried the calm authority of years in command. "This vessel is under human jurisdiction," he said. "We do not answer to threats. If you fire upon us, you will spark a conflict with all of humanity." "DEATHWORLD," Cathari commander sneered. "Your species is young. You do not understand the power of the Dominion. Return the princess, or you will serve as the first lesson of your weakness." The transmission cut off, leaving the deck in uneasy silence. Arinya stepped forward, her silver armor glinting under the deck lights. "He will not wait long. The Dominion does not bluff. If you refuse, they will attack." Murmurs rippled through the crew. Some glanced at her with suspicion, others with fear. To them, she was both a key and a curse. Captain Arlen turned to Marcus, his expression hard. "Lieutenant Hale, you brought her here. You vouch for her. Tell me, why should I risk this ship for her?" Marcus felt every eye in the room on him. He could feel the weight of their doubts pressing down. But when his gaze met Arinya's, he remembered the canyon, the way she had stood against her own people, the fire in her eyes when she spoke of peace. "She's not our enemy," Marcus said firmly. "She stood against them when she could have let us die. She wants peace. If we send her back, we're handing her to executioners. And if we stand with her, maybe we stand a chance at something greater than just survival." Arlen studied him for a long moment. Then his eyes shifted to Arinya. "You claim to want peace. Prove it. Tell us what we face. Give us something that justifies risking this ship." Arinya drew in a deep breath. Her voice, when it came, was steady and clear. "The Dominion rules through fear. Their fleets are vast, their weapons advanced. But not all our soldiers are loyal. Many are forced to fight. Many whisper of rebellion, but lack the voice to rise. If you resist here, and if I speak, they may hesitate, they may question their orders." "You want to broadcast a message," Marcus realized. "Yes." She looked directly at him. "If I speak to them, some will. Listen, they know me. They know I oppose endless war. My words may not turn all of them. But hesitation, even for a moment, could save you." Captain Arlen's brow furrowed. "And if you are wrong?" Arinya did not flinch. "Then you will fall, and I will fall with you. But at least I will have spoken truth." The captain was silent for a long time. Finally, he turned to his communications officer. "Prepare a channel. Wide-frequency broadcast." The speech. The crew worked quickly, tension hanging thick in the air. Marcus stood near Arinya as she prepared to speak. Her composure was regal, but he could see the flicker of nerves in her eyes. "You don't have to do this alone," he said quietly. Her gaze softened. "And yet I must. They will not listen to you, but perhaps they will remember me." The channel opened. Arinya stepped forward, her image sent across the void, broadcasted to every ship in the Dominion fleet. "Kethari soldiers," she began, her voice carrying strength. "This is Arinya, daughter of your ruler. I know you have been told I am a traitor, that I run from duty, that I bring shame to our people, but hear me now, the true shame is endless war. How many worlds must burn before you question the path we walk? How many children must grow without parents? How many more lives will be thrown into the fire of conquest?" Her eyes blazed, not with anger, but with conviction. "I do not ask you to betray your people. I ask you to remember who we are. We were once builders, dreamers, seekers of knowledge. Not conquerors, not destroyers. Look at the humans. You are told they are weak, yet they stand together not for empire, but for each other. We could learn from them. We could choose a different path." On the command deck, the crew listened in silence. Even the humans felt the power in her words. Arinya lifted her chin. "If you follow me, you may be punished. But if you remain silent, you will be enslaved forever. The choice is yours." The channel closed. For a long moment, nothing happened. The Dominion fleet remained in formation, weapons glowing, engines humming. The air on the Resolute felt frozen. Then one ship shifted slightly out of formation. Another powered down its weapons, and another. Whispers spread across the deck. There, hesitating, but not all. The lead vessel surged forward, charging weapons. The commander's voice came through once more, furious. "Enough lies. The princess is ours. Destroy them." The first clash. The stars erupted in fire. Beams of blue energy lanced across the void, slamming into the Resolute's shields. The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring. Officers scrambled to stations shouting reports. "Shields at 70%. Forward batteries returning fire. Hull integrity holding. For now." The Resolute fired back, red lances cutting through the darkness, striking one of the Dominion ships. It staggered but did not fall. Marcus grabbed onto a railing, his heart pounding. He had been in combat before, but never against a force this overwhelming. The enemy ships moved with precision, their weapons tearing at the Resolute's defenses. "Helm!" Captain Arlen barked. "Evasive maneuvers! Keep us moving!" The ship rolled hard, narrowly avoiding a plasma blast that would have cut through the bridge. Sparks flew from a console and a crew member cried out in pain. Medics rushed to assist. Arinya watched silently, her face grim. Marcus turned to her. Some of them hesitated. Your words worked. Not enough, she whispered. A risky plan as the battle raged. Marcus saw the truth. Resolute could not hold out forever. For every enemy ship that hesitated, another pressed forward. Their numbers were too great. He rushed to the captain. Sir, we can't fight them all head on. We need to disable their command ship. If we take it out, the others may falter. Arlen's eyes narrowed. And how do you propose we do that with one ship against 20? Marcus glanced at Arinya. We use her knowledge. She knows their ships. She knows their weaknesses. Arinya stepped forward. The command ship's shield generator is strong, but its cooling vents are exposed during heavy fire. If you strike there with precision, the shields will collapse. The captain weighed the risks. A precise shot under heavy fire against impossible odds. Marcus gave a tight smile, which is exactly what we do best. Arlen hesitated, then nodded sharply. Do it. Target their vents. All batteries focus fire. Turning the tide, the Resolute swung around, its engines roaring. Enemy ships fired relentlessly, but the human vessel darted between blasts, weaving through the chaos with desperate skill. Target locked, shouted the gunnery officer. Fire! Red lances shot across the void, striking the vents of the command ship. At first nothing happened. Then sparks erupted along its hull. The glowing blue shield flickered, then collapsed entirely. Shields down on the command ship. The crew erupted in cheers, but Marcus knew it wasn't over. Hit them again, now. The Resolute's cannons blazed, striking the exposed vessel. Explosions rippled across its hull, and the great warship began to break apart, flames consuming it from within. The Dominion fleet faltered. Some ships fell back, others powered down weapons. Confusion spread. On the Resolute, hope surged like fire. Closing of Part 3As. The wreckage of the command ship drifted in the void. Marcus turned to Arinya. Her face was pale, but her eyes shone with determination. You were right, he said. Some of them listened. She gave a faint, weary smile. This is only the beginning. My people will not forgive this easily, but today we showed them another path exists. The crew of the Resolute began to regroup, tending to the wounded and repairing systems. For now they had survived, but Marcus knew this was only a trial. Trust between humans and Arinya's people was fragile, and danger was far from over. Still, as he looked at her, he felt a strange certainty. Together they might just be able to change the fate of two civilizations. The wreckage of the Cathari command ship floated silently in the void, glowing with fire as it broke apart. The Resolute had done the impossible, crippled the enemy flagship and shaken the Dominion fleet. For the first time, a human vessel had stood against their overwhelming power and lived. Yet Marcus Hale knew the battle was not over. The Dominion fleet was in chaos. Some ships powered down their weapons, hesitating after Arinya's speech and the destruction of their commander. Others regrouped quickly, forming a tight wall of steel and fire. On the command deck of the Resolute, alarms still screamed. Consoles flickered from damage and the ship shook with every maneuver. Status report, Captain Arlen barked. Shields at 40%, hull integrity holding at 80. We've got fires on decks 4 and 7. Damage crews are responding, came the reply. Arlen's face was grim. They'll regroup soon. When they do, we won't survive another full assault. All eyes turned toward Arinya. She stood tall, though Marcus noticed her hands were clenched at her sides. The weight of her people's fleet, their anger and their suspicion rested on her shoulders. They will not stop, she said quietly. The Dominion cannot allow this defeat to spread. They will send more ships, stronger forces. Unless we act now, your ship will be destroyed and I will be taken. Marcus stepped closer. Then we don't wait for them to regroup. We hit them first. The deck fell silent. A bold plan. Marcus laid out his idea quickly. The fleet is divided. Some ships are ready to fight, but others are wavering. If we press them now, and if Arinya speaks again, we might turn hesitation into rebellion. But we need something stronger than just words. We need to prove the Dominion isn't invincible. Arlen crossed his arms. The flagship is gone. Isn't that proof enough? Arinya shook her head. The Dominion's strength lies not only in ships, but in fear. Soldiers are taught that resistance is hopeless. If we can strike again, take out another key vessel, it will spread doubt like fire. That doubt could be the weapon we need. The captain studied her, then Marcus. It's reckless. If this fails, we'll be finished. Marcus met his gaze firmly. We're already finished if we do nothing. After a long silence, Arlen nodded. Very well. We'll give you your chance. But understand this, Hale. If she betrays us, if this goes wrong, the responsibility is yours. Marcus didn't flinch. I'll take it. Preparing for the strike-in. The hours that followed, the crew worked feverishly. Engineers repaired damaged systems, medics treated the wounded, and gunners reloaded the ship's weapons. The Resolute had taken a beating, but her spirit was unbroken. Arinya moved among the crew, offering advice on Ketheri tactics and weaknesses. Some watched her with suspicion, but others began to see her not as an enemy, but as an ally. Her knowledge saved precious time, and her presence reminded them of what was at stake. In the strategy room, she and Marcus stood over a glowing holographic display of the Dominion fleet. There, Arinya said, pointing to a vessel near the center. The Vorath. It carries the Dominion's communications array. If we disable it, their fleet will lose coordination. Confusion will spread. Marcus nodded. And in that moment you speak again. Tell them the truth while their command is broken. Arinya looked at him, her crystal-like eyes steady. If this works, the Dominion will never forgive me. I will become the symbol of their greatest shame. Marcus gave her a small, reassuring smile. Then maybe it's time they learn to be ashamed. Into the fire. The Resolute roared back into battle. Engines burned bright as the ship charged toward the Dominion fleet. Enemy ships opened fire, plasma bolts streaking through the void. The Resolute twisted and rolled, narrowly avoiding destruction. Target the Vorath. All batteries, concentrate fire, Captain Arlen ordered. The ship's cannons thundered, red beams slamming into the Dominion vessel. Its shields flared, absorbing the first wave. But the Resolute pressed on, hammering it again and again. Shields holding on the Vorath, reported the gunnery officer. Marcus clenched his jaw. We need more firepower. Arinya stepped forward. Divert all auxiliary power to the forward. Cannons. It will weaken your shields, but it will give you the strength to break theirs. The captain hesitated, then gave the order. Lights dimmed as power shifted, and the Resolute's cannons blazed brighter than before. Fire! The blast tore through the Vorath's shields, piercing its hull. Explosions rippled across the alien ship, and its communications array shattered into fragments. The vessel drifted, powerless. Cheers erupted across the deck, but the celebration was short-lived. The Dominion's wrath. The remaining Dominion ships surged forward in fury. Plasma fire rained down, striking the Resolute. The ship shook violently, alarms screaming as systems overloaded. Shields collapsing. Hull breach on Deck 6. Casualty reports coming in. Dozens injured. The crew fought desperately to keep the ship alive. Sparks flew from consoles, smoke filled the air, and still the Dominion pressed on. In the chaos, Arinya stepped to the center of the deck. Open the channel, now. The communications officer hesitated, then obeyed. Arinya's voice rang out across the battlefield, broadcasted to every Cathari ship. Soldiers of the Dominion, look around you. Your command ship is destroyed. Your communication hub is gone. The humans stand against you with one vessel, yet you hesitate because in your hearts you know the truth. The Dominion is not invincible. Its power is built on your obedience. Without you, it falls. Her voice grew stronger, filled with passion. You are not slaves. You are not pawns. You are Cathari, beings of honor, of wisdom, of strength, Do not waste your lives on a war that serves only the hunger of rulers. Join me. Join us. Let us choose a future where strength builds, not destroys. Where peace is not shame, but glory. The channel cut off. For a moment, the stars fell silent. The Dominion ships held their positions, weapons charged but unmoving. Then one ship broke formation and turned its weapons, not on the Resolute, but on another Dominion vessel. Another followed, and another. Chaos erupted as parts of the fleet turned on their own, their loyalty to the Dominion shattered by Arinya's words. The turning point. The Resolute seized the opportunity. All batteries fire on the enemy still loyal to the Dominion, Captain Arlen commanded. The battle became a storm of light and fire. Ships exchanged volleys, explosions tore across the void, and the once united Dominion fleet fractured into civil war. Marcus stood beside Arinya, guiding the fight. It's working. They're listening to you. Her voice was quiet but steady. Not all. Many still hate me, but enough may believe. The Resolute weaved through the chaos, striking enemy vessels and aiding those who defected. The tide of battle shifted. What had begun as certain doom turned into a fragile chance at victory. The price of victory. But victory never came without cost. A blast from a loyal Dominion ship struck the Resolute's flank, tearing through its hull. Marcus was thrown against a console, pain shooting through his arm. Smoke filled the deck as officers struggled to stay at their stations. "We can't take much more of this," someone shouted. Marcus forced himself to his feet. His eyes locked on Arinya, who stood unbroken amidst the chaos. She had become more than just a fugitive princess. She was a beacon, a spark, lighting a fire that could not be ignored. "Captain," Marcus said hoarsely, "one final push. If we take down their war leader, the rest will break." Arlen gave a grim nod. "Agreed. Target their flagship." The Resolute charged once more, weaving through fire. Cannons blazed, engines roared, and with the help of defected ships, they focused everything on the Dominion flagship. The combined firepower overwhelmed it. Explosions ripped through its hull until it finally tore apart in a blinding flash, consumed by its own destruction. The battle was over. Closing of Part 4 silence fell across the stars. The loyal Dominion ships, broken and leaderless, fled into the darkness. The defected vessels drifted closer, forming a protective ring around the battered Resolute. On the command deck, the crew let out a collective breath of relief. Some cheered weakly, others simply slumped in exhaustion. Arinya stood at the center, her eyes shining not with triumph, but with quiet determination. She had defied her people, turned soldiers against their masters, and fought for a chance at peace. Marcus watched her, his heart heavy yet hopeful. They had survived the impossible. But he knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning of a greater war, one not fought with weapons alone, but with trust, courage, and the fragile hope of freedom. The aftermath of the battle was quiet in the vast emptiness of space. The Dominion fleet had scattered, broken, and leaderless. Fires still smoldered across drifting Cathari ships, and the Resolute itself bore scars of the fight. Hull plates were scorched, decks littered with debris, and systems hummed under strain. Yet among the crew there was a sense of accomplishment. Against all odds, they had survived. Marcus Hale stood on the command deck, surveying the scene. His body ached from the battle, but his mind was alert, alive with the knowledge that something extraordinary had just occurred. Arinya, the alien princess who had once been a hunted fugitive, now stood beside him, calm and radiant, her silver armor reflecting the faint starlight. "Look at them," Marcus said quietly, gesturing toward the scattered Cathari ships. "They're changing. Some are defecting. Some are realizing they've been lied to all along." Arinya nodded. "Yes, but many still resist. The road ahead will be long. Peace is never easy to earn. But today, we gave them a choice." Marcus studied her, realizing how far she had come from that first moment in the canyon. She was no longer only a princess or a fugitive. She had become a symbol of hope, a spark that could ignite change across a galaxy built on fear. A fragile alliance. In the following days, the crew of the Resolute worked tirelessly to repair the ship and tend to the wounded. Arinya moved among them, assisting with repairs and offering advice on Kethari technology. She spoke to the humans with patience, explaining the customs and strategies of her people, bridging a gap between two civilizations. At first, some crew members were wary. They whispered among themselves, questioning her motives, fearful of hidden traps. Yet gradually they began to see her not as an alien intruder, but as a vital ally. Her guidance had saved their lives, and her courage had turned the tide of battle. Marcus watched this transformation with quiet satisfaction. Trust, he realized, was not given. It was earned. And Arinya had earned it, through action and conviction. One evening, he found her on the observation deck, gazing out at the distant stars. "You did it," he said softly, approaching her. Arinya didn't turn. "No," she replied. "We did it. Humanity stood with me, and together we changed the outcome. But this is only the beginning." Marcus nodded. "I know, but for now, it feels like we can breathe." She finally looked at him, her eyes softening. "It feels strange," she admitted, "to be trusted by those I have never known, to see hope instead of fear." Marcus smiled. "You deserve it, more than anyone I've ever met." Rebuilding and reform with the Dominion fleet scattered, Arinya began reaching out to the dissenting Cathari soldiers. Using her voice and influence, she encouraged those who had begun to question their leaders to unite. Slowly, planets under Dominion control began to see the first hints of change. Meanwhile, the humans worked alongside her, sharing knowledge and offering protection. Together they created a fragile alliance founded on mutual respect and the desire for a better future. In the Resolute strategy room, Arinya and Marcus studied maps of Cathari systems. "These worlds have suffered for generations," she said, tracing her fingers across the holographic display. "Entire civilizations have been destroyed, all in the name of conquest. We must repair what we can, teach them what it means to live in peace." Marcus nodded. "And humanity will help. We've learned a lot about your people, and I think we can offer more than just weapons and ships. We can offer guidance, experience, and friendship." Arinya's eyes glimmered with hope. "Then perhaps together, we can build something new. Not domination, not fear, but trust and cooperation." Recognition and respect word of Arinya's bravery and vision spread quickly among the Kethari. Those who had once feared her began to rally behind her, recognizing her as a legitimate leader capable of guiding her people toward a new future. On a secure broadcast channel, defected Cathari captains spoke openly, praising her courage. "She has shown us the truth," one said. "She has chosen the lives of our people over the will of tyrants." Another added, "She stands not only as a princess, but as a beacon for our future." Marcus watched the broadcasts with quiet pride. He had met many remarkable individuals in his life, but Arinya's strength and integrity were extraordinary. Humanity had learned from her, but she had also learned from them. Together, they had changed the course of history. Even Captain Arlen, who had been skeptical at first, approached her one day. "Princess Arinya," he said, "you've earned the respect of my crew and myself. Humanity will remember your actions. We've seen what courage and wisdom can accomplish." Arinya inclined her head. "Thank you, Captain. But the work is just beginning. Our challenge is not only to survive, but to build a lasting peace." A moment of quiet as the Resolute drifted through a calm sector of space. The crew allowed themselves a brief moment of rest. Lights were dimmed, systems stabilized, and the air of tension lifted slightly. Marcus found Arinya again on the observation deck. She gazed out at the stars, silent as if searching for meaning among the constellations. "You did more than save lives," Marcus said softly, You gave hope, not just to your people, but to all of us. She turned to him, a faint smile on her lips. And you, she said, helped me believe that hope is possible. For a moment they simply stood together, two beings from different worlds bound by trust, courage, and the shared understanding of what it meant to fight for the future. Looking toward the future, days turned into weeks, and the Dominion slowly began to fracture. Systems once held by tyrants welcomed reform, guided by Arinya and her allies. Human envoys traveled to coordinate aid and technology, establishing partnerships that had never existed before. Arinya addressed her people in her first open speech as a new voice of change. We have suffered under fear, she said, but now we have a choice. We can continue the path of destruction, or we can build a future where strength serves life, not death. Together with our human friends, we will forge a galaxy of hope. The Codex words were met with a mix of awe and cautious optimism. It would take time, patience, and persistence. But for the first time in centuries, the Cathari believed change was possible. Marcus watched from the side, silently proud. He had never imagined that a single encounter on a barren moon would lead to this. Together they had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious, not just in battle, but in the hearts of those they had touched. A bond forged in stars one evening. As the ship glided through the calm expanse of space, Marcus and Arinya stood together once more. You know, Marcus said with a small grin, I'll never forget the first time I saw you take off that helmet. Arinya laughed softly, a sound that seemed to shimmer in the quiet of the observation deck. And you whispered something unexpected. Marcus smiled, a little embarrassed. I said you were gorgeous. I meant it, but I never imagined it would lead to all this. She turned to him, eyes shining like distant stars. It led to something far greater than either of us could have imagined. You showed me that humans can be brave, not just with weapons, but with their hearts. You trusted me when others could not. He reached out, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. And you gave me reason to believe that peace is possible, even in the darkest places. They stood together, looking out at the stars, knowing that the galaxy had changed forever, and that they had changed with it. A new beginning, the Resolute sailed on, carrying not just a crew, but the promise of a new era. Arinya, once hunted, and alone, now had allies and friends. Marcus, a human officer who had faced the unknown, now held a bond with someone who had shown him courage and hope beyond imagination. Though challenges remained, the first steps had been taken. Trust had been forged, alliances had been built, and above all, two species, once strangers, once wary of each other, had glimpsed the possibility of a shared future. For Marcus, the moment she first removed her helmet would always be etched in his memory. It was the moment everything changed, not only for them, but for the galaxy. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, it felt like a dawn of something brighter, a future shaped not by fear, but by courage, trust, and hope.